chin, and he steals the Baron! How did that connect by Edgeway? Hello everybody and welcome back to the Amazon EU Masters. We're getting ready to go on to game number 3 between our two teams here, and it went from, oh man, our Misfits Premier going to be another team but 3-0's their way through, or are they going to get challenged? And Vodafone Giants, goddamn did they challenge them. But I have a question for you, Nymaera.
Shoot.
Where's Viego? We haven't been seeing him at all during the Champ Selects.
Maybe it's a lore-based event. I know it happened to Gangplank that one time. Obviously, some bad stuff's been going on with him. Just needs to take a wilderness sabbatical and leave our rifts. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know where Viego's gone. It's been one of the champions which has defined the group stage and most of our quarterfinals too. We've seen players like Maxlaw have that one game with double quadra kills, and it's nowhere to be seen so far.
It's bizarre to see that he's not showing up, but interestingly enough, Misfits Premier have chosen blue side once again during this game. So we'll have 3 games back-to-back of the same side selections for these teams. So obviously feeling very comfortable on that front. And we'll see exactly what that actually means going into this game, because the first half of the drafts for both our first 2 games are identical to one another. So kind of expecting maybe them to look for some kind of adaptation. Might have to look towards that Silas, because sure, they shut down Miniduke in the first game. Second game, they did not shut that Silas down, and it was picked to steal the TF ultimate and act on the map with the TF. But actually, just ended up becoming a Leona and just getting solar flares, but like full AP solar flares, half elfing Woolite.
Yeah, it was just orbital nuking at that point, because you've got because remember that if you have the stun portion of the solar flare land too, that procs the Brittle from the Call of the Forge God, bringing in a whole lot of extra % HP damage too. Have to see if we have ourselves yet another partial run back. I think the problem is from Misfits Premier side of things is that you know that you are going to have the Ryze and LeBlanc band against you, which means that you want the TF. You want that extra roaming role from that mid lane, because that has been where you have found the most success as this kind of like one pillar of control in this mid lane. And I don't see what you really want to change from your bans on this side either. We know that the Scion enables level 1 lane swaps. They probably don't want to deal with that because it adds a level of volatility in that early game that they don't want to deal with. And on the other side, I mean, Vodafone Giants found themselves a winning formula from that second game. I don't know if they want to change things after coming off of that victory.
Well, we're loaded through into Champ Select so far. The first 4 bans, identical once again. You know Vodafone Giants have to ban this Ryze. You can't give that over to Sertuss. That is just an absolute ban. Do Misfits look to change things up here and look to ban away the likes of, the Xin Zhao, the Silas, or do they just stick to their typical ban here, which is the Silas? No, they go for the Silas. Good, because
so this is what I was wondering, because I was thinking about this, thinking, all right, okay, so obviously the Twisted Fate is a big part of this ban phase so far, but if you ban the Silas, does that mean that you have to first pick the TF now? Does that mean you give it over as Red 1, Red 2 for Vodafone Giants to pick up at that point? Because it is the one champion on this patch which both mid laners share. And I don't know what the priority is at that point. I think given that, of course, they have so much value put onto it, but actually Ryze has gone unbanned, so we'll have to chat about that one a little bit later.
I think Vodafone Giants are maybe calling a bit of a bluff here. They're going to go for the Xin Zhao for Shlatan to start us off. So we are seeing a bit of adaptation here in the picks and bans. Now, you still got the things like the Viego open. There is the Trundle. There are plenty of things that 1-1-3 can lean on. But the key thing for me is, does Miniduke deny the Ryze? Do they look to pick up the Twisted Fate? What is going to be their answer here for the side of Vodafone Giants?
So giving over the Ryze is obviously, for me, a mistake. I don't think you want to give over the primary champion, which Misfits Premier have found so much success with. On the other side of it, at least you do have something like a Syndra, which does well into that Ryze. And even when they start popping off in later game fights, you can start walking at the Ryze. And if you do like your QRE combo, just leaving just all of these spheres on the floor, you can deny Ryze a lot of their team fight in the early parts of the fight. That doesn't really work if you're front to backing throughout a lot of these front lines, though, because again, you're not really in range to find that instant stun combo.
Interesting. 1-1-3 goes to the Olaf. So even with the Viego open, even with the Trundle open, a lot of open champions wants to lean heavily into this early game. We talked about how Vodafone Giants, they want to match Misfits early. This is a scrapper. This is something that is going to be fighting. We haven't seen that much Olaf I don't even know if you actually seen. I need to get the stats on that, but
I don't
know if you've
think
actually seen
113
one
has
at
played
all.
it this split. Actually,
Interesting.
I believe it's played. It has been played sparingly by Misfits Premier, so Shlatan has played it once or twice, and at least with the Olaf being locked in, you can start adding some threat onto the Ryze running at him. But once he just procs his rune passive and then the phase rush, he does have a lot of movement speed, and you can ignore the slow for large parts of the slow from the undertow as well. I don't know if that's great in terms of your mid jungle 2v2 potential.
Well, we are going to see the Ryze finally get locked in and the Aphelios here. We'll see what Vodafone are going to look to make as their final pickup here for the side of the Vodafone Giants. As running the clock down, taking a bit of a think. We definitely had a more spicy picks and bans. The Ezreal has been banned away in second ban phase, is actually going to get picked up here for Attila. And things are changing. This is a safe pick, which they can leave Attila off in the side lanes while Kasing looks to roam around the map. And this is kind of how this game is, or the series has been played out. Woolite and Attila kind of just isolated bot lane and just farming up and turning up as solo laners into like the mid game.
And what Vodafone Giants now have the inroad to do, they have the makings of this at least to kind of support this kind of playstyle, is that they can start going towards a range advantage now. You can go towards Ornn in the top side, which I think should be banned. I don't think you want to allow that Ornn to be played into such a static backline. And then you pick up something like an Orianna in that mid lane, something like a control mage, just sit the ball down there, make sure that, again, the short range carries have another bit of pseudo terrain to be aware of. That ball and the shockwave is such a powerful presence in those fights. Azir and Syndra certainly have that aspect too. You probably want something a bit more control magey, but the thing about the Orianna is it gives you the speed up and the shields to enable the Olaf too. It's one of my favorite matchups for that, or rather like combos for that champion. But they're not going to have that long-range top laner threat in terms of backline access to round that out. So now I have to look to Antonio again and say, all right, do you have anything else in the wheelhouse to kind of fit that same kind of ticket? Again, we know that historically they have been somewhat of a Cho'Gath player, but they might be going towards something a little bit different. Gold card with a fire cannon gives you some range. It's not quite the same level of teamfight threat, though.
It's going to be the lock-in, though. We'll see now what Misfits are looking to round this comp out with. What did we have last game? We've had an Alistair and we've had a Leona
support. Yeah.
Yes, that was it. I complete brain fart, even though Jactroll literally just had a 3-0 start on the Leona in the last game. But it's an open opportunity to them again. You're kind of lacking engage for the sides of Misfits, so the Leona, actually again, kind of okay champion. I don't mind it. It's obviously, you know, the laning phase when you're playing into the concussive blows can be a little bit painful, but if you avoid that and then get onto the map, and you're the solar flares post 6, you do have a lot of impacts up and available. Now, the Ornn obviously takeaway is a really nice one here. And Misfits Premier are looking to see what they're going to round out their comp with. Do they want to fake something that can allow them to play front to back? The Renekton obviously taken away, the Camille taken away. So actually going to lean over to the Jayce, something which was very heavily prioritized in the first half of the tournament.
And as much as we talked about where's Viego, Jayce has been such a big pick for so many teams. I mean, we saw it for Pride, Fnatic Rising obviously plays a load of that too. And a number of other top laners have used this to just bully out so many defensive picks. It's great. You can play weak side, but Jayce, when put on strong side, is very, very strong. Talked about that Cho'Gath before. It is going to come in, so a little bit of me peering into the crystal ball to see that one. Again, that Cho'Gath Q will try and perform the same kind of duty as something like a Call of the Forge God to reach that back line with its long range.
Now, the Antonio and Agresivoo, two players who've been playing in the European Masters circuit for a very, very long time. I followed them through, you know, a large period of their careers. And I remember a long time ago when we were doing a promotional piece in studio for I can't remember what team the Antonio was on at the time, but at the time Cho'Gath was just like his signature pick for that particular show. And I remember very specifically Celtic Tiger doing a little piece on the Antonio, and it ended with, "The Antonio will eat you." I know this is a champion he is so good at. It is going to be a bit of an odd one, but I've got Celtic Tiger's words of wisdom ringing through my head right now.
It's funny what you bring along with you. You know, like you'll do these events and you won't remember anything about the plays. You'll just remember this one damn earworm that just gets stuck in there. Great to see, of course, one of these signature picks coming back out again, though. Glad you got some memories of it.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's weird because it's, I can't fully remember his playstyle on it, but it's a Cho'Gath, so it doesn't really differ too much from his normal playstyle. As we have loaded through onto the Rift for game number 3 of this series, Vodafone Giants and Misfits Premier are one apiece in this best of 5. winner here goes to match point in this series.
All on the line then. Or at least the first steps towards it. Already filled you guys in with all of those narratives and things that we're keeping an eye on to keep those stories spicy. If we're going to go keep up towards that top lane matchup, though, one of the things which changed with the item rework, and we actually saw this in the LEC finals with the likes of the Gangplank versus the Cho'Gath, it kind of applies here towards the Jayce too, is that back in the day, back when you didn't have a Cyrilda's Grudge and stuff like Eclipse to give you the extra percent damage and the extra pen and all this other stuff, there was a point where you could kind of peter out against a Cho'Gath that would just get unholy fed and tanky. If this Jayce gets ahead in this matchup nowadays, though, and hits 3 items, the Antonio is going to seriously struggle to match up against the Jayce. It's no longer a nullifying lane. It is one that does bleed out. So if we see early advantages starting to get accrued up there, that's an eventuality I'm looking towards for Misfits Premier to play around.
And I think also, same for Vodafone Giants. They have shown that they are quite happy to leave Attila and Woolite on an island. One thing about the Jayce is, if he does fall behind, he becomes near useless. He's very reliant on actually getting ahead and then forcing an item advantage and just a poke advantage at that point. But if he falls behind, it takes him out for such a long time that he's basically not relevant. I wouldn't say completely irrelevant, but he becomes a lot harder to, to pilot, and takes a long, long time to become a champion. And in that time, the Antonio gets to a point where he just won't be able to poke him out. He won't be able to handle through the giant size of the Cho'Gath, and it means Attila will be able to kind of navigate these fights at a distance. So I want to see, you've got the ability to get up there with the Destiny.
Yes, you do.
You've got this early power from the Olaf. Pressure the Agresivoo early and get the Antonio in a comfortable position. 113 is going to be pathing upwards, while his jungler, his opponent jungler, Shlatan, is actually going to be also going for a quick upwards clear. He wants to be on this side of the map because he's predicting this.
Yes, and the thing about Agresivoo on this Jayce, that of course he's taking the Conqueror for the extra trade damage. If you don't have something like a Phase Rush, you never escape the Olaf. No, it doesn't have the Ghost, but post 6 it is a very dangerous eventuality. Plus, having the Destiny Gate adds the extra sword in the dark to be aware of. Shlatan is looking for an invade, but has been spotted out not once, but twice. There is no smite available for the Olaf, but Shlatan can hit tag a W here. Actually misses that, so it keeps him a little more safe.
Yeah, well, the fact that Sertuss actually got first move, 1-3 is going to have to step away, and that is a camp denial here. Sertuss with a lovely little rotate over, although Antonio's moving in to make sure that this camp isn't going to get taken away. Zlatan's going to be able to smite it to secure at least the big Krug. And that's actually going to slow 1-1-3 down somewhat. Mid-prio being a pretty impactful thing, and now the Antonio has to be careful as a large wave will work forwards, but the rest of Misfits have already reset, so he'll be able to pick this up, and thanks to his passive, we'll be able to heal back up off the wave.
But what's the extra kind of qualifier for what happens between this jungle map paths at this point is, what the heck's happened with bot lane priority? Can you get a safe double scuttle, or could you even go in towards the enemy Krugs? No, you can't with this CV2 advantage being built up by Woolite and Jactroll. Antonio doing pretty well in the 1v1, gets another grass proc. Good damage.
I told you he was known for this. It's going to go a little bit low. Now has to be careful as Shlatan's in the area. He's trying to heal up with his passive. The flash is available. Wind does become lightning. But the Antonio, the wave's too thin, and he'll be able to survive. So Crabs going to get traded out equally here.
And as much as it does become some inclement weather, Shlatan chooses not to ride the lightning or anything of the sort, leaving Antonio to regen up under tower. And this is one of the great things about Cho'Gath on defensive duty under tower, because your passive means that when you kill units, you do regen up that extra amount of health. Gives you that extra passive sustain, which allows you to kind of outlast Jayce's early laning phase in certain situations, which of course he has done at this point. So once again, kind of similar to game 1, actually. We've had some early look-ins which haven't led to anything immediate so far. 1-1-3 slowly building up a CS advantage, a camp advantage in that jungle, but that hasn't gotten out of hand just yet. And as much as Olaf can power farm very, very effectively, you know that they're on a bit of a timer when it comes to being relevant in the game too, particularly when you don't have that enchanter or someone like a control mage with shields in that mid lane, like that Orianna, which I might have liked to see.
Not looking to jump in here. The Graviton goes down onto Woolite. Attila maybe not quite on the same page as his support, however, as Jactroll gonna force a flash forward, and Woolite not gonna find first blood because it's gifted over to Jactroll.
That's a clean 2v2 kill. Once again, we have a 2v2 advantage, not just established in the early game, but kills coming alongside with it. Of course, these two AD carries have been much the key components of these teams when it does get towards that 30-minute mark. Game 2, of course, it was all about, okay, Attila was kept down early. Oh gosh, the 2v2 didn't go well, but eventually they got back into it. But it still isn't a good sign. Attila needs to be relevant for the mid-game fights for this team comp for Vodafone Giants to really stand a chance of wave clearing on one side of the map and allowing their globals to affect this Jayce on the other. Of course, it starts with yet another Zenith Blade. You do have the exhaust available from the Braum, but it's not an ignite, nor do you have a heal in this lane. Both the AD carries have taken the cleanse. Again, it's just a good 2v2 calculation from the LFL bot lane.
It did look a little scattered there as well. Attila and Kasing not marking and going on the same person, so they couldn't get the stun chain down. But Kasing moving in. I believe that was 1-1-3 smited that one away, so we'll be okay with that one. He's going to head back towards his own jungle. Not too many camps for him to farm, but the pings are going down onto that crab. And Vodafone Giants kind of scratching their heads, walking backwards and forwards. Not sure. They want to contest the dragon, maybe go for the crab. They are just going to look to try and put some bodies towards the mid side, but Sertuss is just going to lean up towards where his team are. And now Vodafone Giants very slow on the play. Not even going to start this dragon up because I think they're a little bit too slow to do so. But the pings are now going down towards the top side. So I want to see a response from Vodafone Giants.
So we do have Destiny Gate coming in, well, at least available from Miniduke, but that's a realm up behind tower. Oh gosh, Antonio.
Yeah, they're trying to bring members in. They're trying to bring numbers in. Sertuss is coming in. They've got the gold card. Miniduke underneath the tower. He just doomed himself. He finds himself the kill. The knockup's there. It's a 2-for-1 and a double kill for Shlatan.
Oh, it's almost worth it for Vodafone Giants. They almost get themselves an extra kill out of that, but they have to settle for that 1-for-2. Both solo lanes going down. And as you were saying, what are the rest of this team of Vodafone Giants doing? They're slow to the play. They do get themselves a singular plate for Attila, and they do start towards the Dragon 2, but as much as one of Olaf's many bonuses is that you clear so quickly that you have the extra time, the luxury to sit there and say, all right, I have 20 seconds where there are no camps up. I can just sit around here and decide what to do. It's a little slow to the punch for our liking.
Yeah, I feel like that dragon could have been dead before the tower dive had even finished. But at the end of the day, lovely little realm walk. They got the flank in. And Antonio, he had nowhere to go. The Destiny was questionable, but they did at least answer out with a singular kill.
Just record scratch. Yes, that's me. I guess you're all wondering how I found myself here. It's a good CC chain, a good target acquisition by Miniduke to lock up the tower, aggro target, get at least something back. And it's at least not the biggest wave coming in on the tower to be lost there. Herald started up, but okay, Shlatan's behind enemy lines and does have that double kill.
Yes, he does. He's pretty strong. Miniduke onto the red card as they look for the knockoff onto Agresivoo. Shlatan's going to get himself spotted out. Miniduke has the flash to get over the wall to get away to safety, but they're able to pick up the crab. The Antonio uses the feast, the flash, the crescent guard for the Insect as 1-1-3 flashes the wall as well. A kill for Rift Herald. Vodafone Giants, I will say this much, they are being proactive. They are trying to find objectives.
They are, but once again, it's kind of like, okay, you've got the feast on the Cho'Gath. It definitely feels more like a famine, and they're losing more in between the plays.
Unless Kasing can make a miracle happen, he can with a block. Jactroll has to be careful. If this gold card hits, he's going to be dying, but has the movement speed. Thanks to the boots upgrade to get away.
Right, so not going down with that fight. The bounce is already hurting. Ryze, of course, does have that bigger level 6 power spike. Now that, of course, has that interaction with your EQ, gives you extra damage when you do hit people with the spell flux put over them. So this is Premier, missing out on that Herald. And as we led into this series, we kind of talked about they have really good stats across the board. We kept talking on about that. No need to revisit that once more again. Vodafone Giants, though, again, much like Game 2, finding a way to at least force a trade, keeping this as Premier accountable. Right, keeping them on the board and making sure that they're not getting everything for free. The problem with having the Herald on someone like a Leona, though, is that you know where it's going to go. It's much easier to track where someone like a Cho'Gath finds themselves across the map. You don't get to, and particularly with someone like Olaf as well, clear out very quickly, move across the map, and have a very quick power play should the opportunity present itself.
I'm curious where the Antonio is going to put his Rift down, because obviously, you know,
exactly, yeah.
A couple of plates topside's fine, but Agresivoo's already taken 2 plates, so you're just trading out on that gold. Maybe go mid lane, try and force a Miniduke and get that opened up. He is pinging for help. The Destiny is up and available. The Roam Warp is up and available. Teleport available as well to Sertuss, so maybe a little bit harder to do so, but they are bringing Miniduke into this area. And I think Agresivoo, hesitant to leave. Look at where he is standing on that top side.
Well, it's the telegraph play. It's the telegraph play. And if we can call it out as casters, they probably know about it on the Rift as well. If we say, all right, okay, it's about the best you can do at this point. Antonio hides in the brush, tries to fake some kind of recall. Agresivoo, as you said, not having any of it. Miniduke finds himself back towards that mid lane. 1-1-3 in the mid brush, but time is starting to tick out for this top side. Still has that Herald, but Shlatan's here to help the fight.
Oh, they're going to send him in. They've got the Destiny for the Antonio. Nowhere to go. The silence isn't going to be enough. This time, he's able to survive and clear the way for some time. But it's just too little. It's too late. Shlatan finds the kill, finds the setup. There's Vodafone Giants here now, sitting on this Rift Herald for a little bit longer.
And it's not able to be used yet again. So Miniduke pops the ultimate from the TF and doesn't find an angle. The Antonio maybe gets the worst end of the communication on that, tries to flash, he chomps and clears a wave. Sure, cool, minions are nice, get yourself that extra HP from that feast, but that's the best you're getting out of that player. He wasn't really buying himself any favors by using the flash too. Now you see Antonio going back towards that lane and finding himself in much a similar situation.
Yeah, and you know, pings are going down, but they're not leaning towards the top side, and now you got a 1-0-3 Jayce. He's finished up the Eclipse, and you know, we were talking about if you want to deal with the Jayce, you shut him down before he gets going.
Yes.
This Jayce is going. You got 0-3 Cho'Gath. It's going to be a long time before he's tanky enough to absorb Agresivoo. And like you were saying as well, since the item rework, being able to absorb a Jayce is a lot harder now for a Cho'Gath than it used to be.
And also, you're not really in the same position to... actually, this was more relevant actually in Game 2 with the Camille versus the Ornn, because we used to see this item built quite a lot. You just build a Warmogs and you just regen under tower between waves.
Yeah, I mean...
He's found a use for the Herald. He's not going to get any gold for it because he's not close from it. Cool.
Well,
right.
The Antonio gets the gold at least.
At least there's some, yes.
Yeah.
Which again, going back to the point we were making in terms of, oh gosh, Jayce with 2 items really starts to hurt. I think that's one of the changes which happens for Jayce too. It's not quite as bad as how anemic Jayce could be before the item rework. You get up towards the Muramana on top of the Eclipse, you are just doing so much damage. And actually, 2v2 in the bot lane.
I mean, Kasing can't move. The Graviton plus the Solar Flare. Here comes the Realm Warp. Kasing has to flash away, but they're launching under the tower. Misfits pull 4 down and find the kill. The ping's onto the Dragon. And Vodafone Giants aren't even set up to handle this one.
Unfortunate timing there from Vodafone Giants. They do get the recall off in the brush from 1-1-3. Maybe they would have liked him there if they knew that a fight was going to be erupting. Not going to lead to a Dragon Star immediately. They're choosing to, well, at least Mrs. Premier choosing to establish a Ring of Vision first, but Shlatan surely does go back towards it, even up that Dragon score in the early game. Get themselves one of those neutral objectives on the board, because actually with that first Herald going the way of Vodafone Giants as well, this would be their first neutral objective of this game 3.
Well, let's got the tower killing guns as Attila actually jumps in forwards. That's a lot of damage he was able to put out there onto Woolite, but he has got red guns, so he can heal back up. Dragon number 2 is secured, and that's the first one for Misfits, as Shlatan has been seen out as able to clear through this vision. Nope, he's not.
No, not nearly as easy as that. Can't be giving those wards for free. And this is where things started to go a little bit wrong. As we saw, the Olaf gets the recall off. Awesome, cool. And then by luck or by chance or anything else, Jactroll does start off that fight. And of course, with the mid lane roam coming in from Sertuss, Rumwalk comes in and
it was a greedy recall. It was a really greedy recall. They recalled on a pink ward.
I actually didn't see if that pink wall was split down mid-fight. If that was the case,
it was there before. So they waited for 1-1-3 to recall, and then Jactroll took him out.
Okay, all right, that's a bit bad. That doesn't look. That's just yeah, that's great. And also doesn't speak too well for my vision capabilities myself. If I didn't see that one on the replay,
sometimes you miss wards.
Didn't register it either time. Sometimes you just don't get it. It's not your day. Sometimes. So we've seen some very different performances out of some of these players between games as well. We have a second Herald coming up right now. It has spawned, and the Q does land onto Shlatan. See if it can lay to anything more. Not just yet. There's no fire cannon. There is a solar flare, though.
Into the form. Freeman with the Moonlight Vigil. Woolite got lots to work with. Vodafone Giants are already going to lose Kasing. The Antonio is taken down. The gold card, it's just a little sad at this point as it's instantly cleansed into the Zenith Blade. Stopwatch used, but Agresivoo will take to the skies. No, he won't. Miniduke will flash away to safety. Just about getting away from that one.
Oh, Woolite is just unleashed in that fight. As you were saying, has the high DPS guns. It's not the low-range DPS. It's basically the best high-range DPS combo you can get between Crescendum and the Calibrum. Gets out that long shot ultimate as well from that Calibrum, or as I like to call it, the ace in the Calibrum. Very Caitlyn-like in that one. And he just keeps gunning people down. This is what we saw from well, in the very early stages of that game 2, I'd like to say, going into that mid-game. It got... It's just free firing at that point.
Hold on.
Of course, the Gale Force differently. Okay, I'll shut up. 4-5-3 hand.
Everfrost coming in. Sertuss slowed down. They're looking to get him. They're going to find him. Attila gets the kill. Shlatan able to pop the eye of the Herald, but he can't pick it up in time. The rest of the team are coming in, and they've been able to secure themselves a quick turnaround. Attila's next to go down as well. It's a slaughter for Misfits. Vodafone Giants did steal the Herald.
And somehow, some way they do that because Shlatan is trying to just get round the back of Shirley, try and get that eye popped. Doesn't quite get the angle, walking around it with that elongated spear. Go back into one of these replays. I guess this is going to be the second one from the looks of it. As you see, Mrs. Premier returning to the scene of the crime, but maybe not accounting for all of the tools which Vodafone Giants hadn't used in that last play. You see that eye open, you just can't get it done. Attila lands the last auto instead, gets that huge amount of burst, but as much as they do get so much work done on Shlatan, it's not enough to kill the jungler. Woolite certainly has more than enough damage to return the favor in kind. Vodafone Giants valiantly fought, but not sure if that's actually going to work out for them in the long show at that one.
1-1-3 was actually bot lane shoving a wave during that whole...
Exactly where he needed to be, of course. Nothing else is happening on the map.
A bit of a weird one on that front when that play goes down. But at the end of the day, they secure the Herald, they lose 2 bodies. Maybe if you had your Olaf there, you might have been able to achieve a little bit more. And, you know, speaking of achievements, Shlatan 4-0-5 right now in this game. He's having an absolutely fantastic time with the Zhao. 1-1-3 picked this Olaf up in first rotation. And his 0-0-0 has offered absolutely nothing on this champion.
You're not a connoisseur of PvE. League of Legends got some more PvP though. Let's get it on.
That's what I like to see. The Antonio's going to get locked down. 1-1-3 will loses half his health with a shot block. The Cho'Gath is squashed and it's a 1-for-1, but it's about to get worse. A double kill picked up for Woolite. Look at the chakrams he's working with. Kasing can buy some time, but he will be cut through as he flashes over the wall. Woolite finds a whole bunch of additional damage and Attila will go down to Shlatan. Jactroll gold carded up and slowed up with the Q from Kasing. Vodafone Giants are just crumbling in this third game of the series.
And be very glad, if you're a Vodafone Giants fan, that this was not happening 2 minutes later. Because remember back in game 1, it happened around that 20 to 21 minute mark and the Baron went down. Effectively, the game was over at that point. Luckily, at this point, it's not going to be, as the recall to stop there by Miniduke, it's not going to be the game-ending kind of fight at that point. But that was a oh gosh!
Woolite! He's just going to annihilate him! The assassin! AD carry dodges the rupture as well. Yeah.
Gale Force OP! Gale Force is really good. He just gets that extra gap close. Follows up, of course, remember, grabbed him, all well and good. It's a nice weapon to have for setup, but actually just pressing Q on the damn thing gives you a good amount of damage too. Not quite the same as the auto attack, but Miniduke seriously underestimating the damage that can come in from Aphelios.
I mean, that was disgusting. 5-0-4. Well, I feel like all series long, we've been picking up Attila and Woolite, while the rest of the team have actually been pulling some serious work. Shlatan, absolutely corker of a game, having an amazing time, don't get me wrong, but Woolite performing his heart out, and it feels like, you know, he's had a really good series in general. And this game he's finally showing it off as Kasing just continues his spree of not being able to play League of Legends as Jactroll will kill him.
I mean, round 3, 13, 500 fight. Either way, we've just been constantly brawling. It seems like for the last 4 or 5 minutes, ever since that pesky Herald came about. Jactroll. So close on that Zenith played. He's had a lot of good ones this series. I had to hold my breath for that one, as Attila is not in position to wave clear through this mid-turn. 1-1-3, he's just going to be on the back foot again.
Yeah, he's going to pop the ultimate to be able to survive, but the gold card onto Attila, he has to jump out to safety with a blinking health bar. And Misfits, they actually might just have to push up a little bit further here. They don't really have the largest wave in the world, so I don't know what they're going to be able to do, but they've got a lot of damage coming out from Woolite. Antonio jumps away. Great little Gale Force. to get away from the tower before he gets a little bit too hairy. But here comes the Destiny.
All right, here we go again.
Into the gold card, but there's no real follow-up. There's no real backup. Misfits, sure, they have low health bars, but Vodafone, they need to push their pressure now. 1-1-3 can't get in range, and the Realm Warp means the whole team are just going to be able to blink out towards the Dragon Pit into safety. I'm not seeing what this Olaf is offering.
Well, right now, very little. I think you're very right to call that out. I mean, we've got a Herald put down both side, actually. That's maybe the extra the extra bonus to the Realm Warp, meaning that you don't even get any value out of that one. Cool. Awesome. Managed to steal it, but don't get any value out of it. Will it pull someone across the map, though, to get this mid lane turret? That's a lot of CC chaining.
That is a lot of CC chaining. The tower will go down, and here's the teleport. Here's the fight. They can split it up with that Crescent Guard, but he's stunned up at the moment. The health bar's already low. That's 2 kills picked up from Misfits Premier. Make it a third. Miniduke gets the gold card off, and Attila is jumped onto by Agresivoo. He just flashes forwards. A triple kill for Agresivoo. Misfits Premier are just destroying Vodafone Giants right now.
Agresivoo is done playing around. He just nukes 3 people out of that fight, makes the fight absolutely unplayable. Antonio, I mean, we talked about the CC chaining at the start of that fight. It's at the cost of taking tower aggro. Enters that fight with 20% HP, and it is a far cry away from the Ornn of Game 2. All that they have to do there is sit there, take that damage, and not offer anything in that fight. Certainly not enough for Vodafone Giants to make a retreat of any semblance of the word. Let's see how this all started out again. And again, okay, so we see that the Q hits, but you've got Neverfrost. You have that W coming through. That's 3, 4, 5. You're getting up towards 5 or 6 tower shots taken by Cho'Gath right at the start of it, and this was already a 0-5 Cho'Gath. You are not the front line the team needs you to be. And Agresivoo finds the angle, threads the needle, doesn't have any minions to block them at this time, and Ezreal, very known for their self-peel capabilities, but you only have one E. Use the flash too, and Jayce follows that one. No way out of that fight.
And look at that damage. 4,700 from Agresivoo.
You just had to mention, oh, Woolites were doing really well. I guess we've been talking about the rest of the team. Agresivoo took that personally, it seems.
Yeah, it turns out his food delivery is on the way, and he wants to get out of this game as quick as possible because he just stepped up the pressure and the pace. Baron Nashor now in Misfit Premier's pocket, and they're going to look to try and take down a tower or 2. Make this game even harder. We talked at the beginning of the game, if you can shut the Jayce down, he feels irrelevant. They didn't. They shut the Cho'Gath
mission
down.
failure.
Absolutely mission failure. We'll get him next time.
5 people used to live here, now it's a ghost town, or it soon will be, as Vodafone Giants are hanging on to vestiges of their base. It's going to be the ult pulled out by Woolite. Not to great effect, but the siege continues.
I mean, the ult might not have been perfect. That shot blasted a lot of damage onto a very squishy Olaf. Sure, the Gore Drinker makes you pseudo-tanky because you got a lot of sustain, but you can't really do too much about that as the tower will go down, and Misfits, they're able to crack open this base, and they are going to take an inhibitor. They've got the Realm Warp to
that's
bring
just mean.
minions in.
That's so mean.
That is unbelievably mean. As the second inhibitor will crumble here, Woolite will be able to free fire away, and oh my lord, the shot blast. Jactroll just about misses out on the Zenith Blade. Inhibitor number 2 will crumble, and Vodafone Giants can do nothing but watch as their base falls apart, and the 3rd dragon should just get handed over to Misfits Premier.
And we have very much reached the point where Olaf is not useful. You don't have the shields, you don't have the ability to get into that fight. If you have to tank up one Ryze Q and any of Jayce's abilities, you're probably going to die to the follow-up damage from Aphelios, autoing you about 2 times. That's going to be the extra dragon taking down my Misfits Premier. I don't believe that's the soul just yet. No, it's not. This is the 3rd one going down, leaving up the next Ocean Dragon to be spawned onto the Rift. But Vodafone Giants, it seems similar to Game 1, are struggling to find any engage options. You don't have a Silas to steal a Leona ultimate. You don't have the Ornn, and yes, the Cho'Gath, I kind of was trying to do some mental gymnastics to see how it could have that backline access. Landing a good Cho'Gath Q is great. It's not really the same from when you're behind, though, because you don't have any follow-up threat. You don't have, again, something like a Shockwave from Orianna, something like an engaged support yourself. Vodafone Giants are just sitting here and having to soak up this pressure, and it's just taking gut punch after gut punch.
Well, there you go. You win something, Attila. A red buff. What does it cost you? Everything. Tower will crumble, and this will be the final outer structure. And it might be the final structure if it's not a Nexus. tower any moment here for the side of Vodafone Giants. They're able to clear the wave, though the Baron has timed out, but someone has to look to deal with these side lanes as the Graviton spreads across a couple of members from Woolite. He's just throwing that Moonlight Vigil off on cooldown. He doesn't care.
I mean, why not? I mean, just gets to do all the pretty light show. Get yourself all those fireworks displays. Doesn't, of course, have the Infernum. Mega Infernum bombs, I like to call it, but that's a big combo on the other side!
That's a big fight indeed, but they're just too tanky. The gold lead is just too big. It looked flashy, but it really wasn't. They have no follow-up. They have no damage to stick. Attila tried to find the additional damage, and here's the roam. They teleport Jactroll in. Bit of a question one on that front, but here comes Miniduke with the turnaround. And Vodafone Giants are just cut down. No opportunity to turn that around. As Woolite, with the murder guns, unable to find any murder today. Game number 2 for the side of Misfits Premier as they go to match point.
And it feels like, again, you can draw so many similarities to that first game. They find themselves a great Cho'Gath queue, the one thing they're waiting for to engage when they're so far down in gold. And it feels like Misfits Premier can just take all of these slightly inopportune fights just because they know they just need to start the fight. After that point, everything goes their way.
I'm an absolute idiot as well. I didn't realize Shlatan was also on that roam wall. I just like that one. I was like, oh, there was 2. They didn't just Jactroll in. But beautiful, beautiful game there for the side of Misfits Premier. Able to find themselves honestly, a very dominating win after coming back from what was a pretty rough game too. You know, it wasn't as one-sided as their wins have been, but the way in which they have won have been very decisive. Vodafone Giants, it feels like every game has been a struggle.
Yes, they've had to fight to have even a foot in the game. And in games 1 and game 3, I think we saw there were some limitations to their compositions. They have tried to leverage the early game, but if it comes to a point where there is a fight presenting itself and you have no means of engaging into it, that's a big problem. I think removing the Silas has been, I mean, and also, I mean, obviously great to show that the Silas is worthy of a ban, but if you don't have that Silas, what have you got for us?
Well, the Spanish representatives and the final hope for the Superliga are against the wall as they are one Nexus explosion from being forced out, and we lose all 3 of our Spanish representatives. We're going to throw to a break and one back. We'll have the analyst test to talk about that game, so we'll see you in a moment.
I'm calling you like AOA, cause I can't be without you. I can't be without you. I'm calling you like AOA. I wanna feel you night and day, night and day. I'm calling you like AOA, cause I can't be without you. I can't be without you. I'm standing in the darkness, losing my way home. Why are you so heartless? I can't be alone. I don't even know where I should go. I can't be without you. I can't be without you. I'm calling you like AOA, AOA. I wanna feel it night and day, night and day. I'm calling you like AOA, AOA. Cause I can't be without you. I can't be without you. I'm calling you like AOA, AOA. I wanna feel you night and day, night and day. I'm calling you like AOA, AOA. Cause I can't be without you. I can't be without you. you hear me calling? Echoes in the sky. I don't even know where I should go. I can't be without you. I can't be without you. I'm calling you like AOA, AOA. I wanna feel you night and day, night and day. I'm calling you like AOA, AOA. Cause I can't be without you. I can't be without you.
I'm calling you like AOA, AOA. I wanna feel you night and day, night and day. I'm calling you like AOA, AOA. Cause I can't be without you. I can't be without you.
Vodafone Giants find themselves in a tough situation as Misfits Premier are at a match point in the last quarterfinal of the Amazon European Masters. Looking at what we just saw, that was
fired up. He's
not
ready.
pretty.
Unleash it, unleash it,
I'm a
unleash it.
little bit sad.
Are you sad or angry?
disappointed?
That's even worse.
Right? I'm disappointed Dagda right now, all right? And like, I'm not gonna lie, this draft really confused me coming through from Vodafone Giants. I was looking going, all right, cool, you know, you see the Ryze come out. You can look and try and go for a counter pick. Pick the Twisted Fate. Ryze has great push into Twisted Fate. You can do absolutely nothing in that scenario.
Yeah, let's call up that pick order because that's what we want to see here. The champions are being shown on the side of Misfits Premier, but then Vodafone Giants decides like, you know, let's make it a bit of a challenge.
By counter-picking every single lane for themselves.
On red side.
Baffled me. It baffled me. You saw the Ryze come through, they picked that Twisted Fate. Then you're looking towards the bot lane as well. They know the Aphelios is there. They take the Ezreal. Aphelios has great push into Ezreal in the early stages. And because you got the Leona, you got that Leona that's opened up onto the map as well. She can do a ton of work. And then you go towards the top lane for the Antonio. Now, I know, look, the Antonio, big tank player, his champion pool is rather limited. But still, having the Jayce push into that Cho'Gath, you're like, phenomenal. We now have 3 winning lanes, and we can do whatever the hell we want on the map.
And I think the most mind-blowing thing is how you pick blind Jayce, because you know there is no answer on the other side due to the limited champion pool, due to the Antonio having to play weak side. But then, who do you play for? Because I felt like Miniduke was stuck in lane, and he was like, so if I TP top side, I have a Cho'Gath, that's not really gonna work. If I TP bot side, I have an Ezreal Braum, that's definitely not gonna work. And then you've got an Olaf in the jungle who's like, guys, I'm a jungle that really likes priorities in lane, so I can play brawl and punches really early on versus the Zhao. And guess what? There were no priority lanes for him.
And you literally have a mid lane that outscales so much better with the Ryze. You have a bot lane of Aphelios that outscales your Ezreal. Your moment to shine in this game was so slim for Vodafone Giants, and you're giving yourself 0 tools to operate around that.
Yeah, I felt like that Twisted Fate was a bit of a reactive thing, although we see now using it as an engage tool. Miniduke finds the gold card here, but this goes wrong so fast.
It just completely falls apart bit by bit. Like, we get to see the initial engage looking pretty good, but Woolite shows up. He's been able to get 3 turret plates bot lane already because he's just been pushing in against this Aphelios all the time. He's got great guns to take these fights, and that was kind of the story of this entire game, was Vodafone Giants throwing everything at the kitchen sink at Misfits Premier and realizing, oh crap, you know that other goal that they picked up? Yes, it's a bit of a nuisance right now.
Yeah, and they just couldn't team fight at all. They were so far behind that even when it came to what Vodafone Giants are really good at, which is team fighting, getting the team together, playing the front to back, protecting Attila, there was no damage coming in from Attila. There was no front to back. Misfits were literally brute forcing themselves into all of these fights. And Woolite, I feel like, went untouched the entire game. He wasn't the only one that went untouched. No one except Sertuss, I mean, everyone except Sertuss did not die this game. 0 deaths across the board for the squad.
I mean, and that's what we saw in game 2, Woolite being picked off. And you got to praise Misfits here as well for playing around the priorities.
Yeah, they played incredible. Like Sertuss, as we talked about, looking for these early dives onto top side, and then you're looking towards Rift Arrows, Dragons, everything going their way. And it meant that when we got towards that nice steady curve of gold that we can see on your screens right now, there was just nothing that Vodafone Giants could answer with. They had a composition, especially when you're playing this Olaf Twisted Fate, that needs to pop off early, power through that strong mid jungle, and then look to kind of play out through side lanes, look for these pick potentials. You don't get the chance to do that when you're that far behind, and Misfits Premier are winning every portion of the map.
25 almost K damage on a Jayce that was blind picked because it has no answer is kind of mind-blowing to me.
I mean, it kind of worries me moving forward into this series because it's a tough one. And I kind of feel like a lot of that is coming from the agency they don't really have on the side of Vodafone Giants in that top lane.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's going to be a big kind of issue that we are already highlighting. I think we talked about a lot with Colour as well, is that I'm not the biggest fan, unfortunately, of top laners that have to play this tank-orientated style. This is not the meta for it. It's kind of been out of meta for a long, long time. And although we can see a little bit of Orin coming back into EU Masters, I still think things like the Jayces, the Nars, these kind of things that can still have a lot of control on that top side do more because you can play through strong solo laners and set up your team for success, still have big team fighting presence as well.
And then we say, Mrs. Premier, they don't die, but Sertuss did. And it doesn't really give like a weird image about him because I feel like, and we all feel like, he was the one that made it possible for Mrs. Premier to find a lot of these leads.
Absolutely. I feel like Shlatan and Sertuss have been the name of the game for Misfits anyway. But we mentioned how Sertuss is the core of that duo. He pushes out that mid lane and then suddenly you have pressure all over the map. And when you have 3 lanes you can play through, you can go towards your Jayce, you can facilitate together and move around with your Zinza, and you can also go bot lane because that Leona is just so good at locking people down, and Aphelios with the correct guns is just GG.
And especially in the pre-show where you talked a lot about Dagda, the Ryze for Sertuss. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I absolutely love this pick for him. I think he does so well at using that priority from the mid lane. We get to see it to great effect in this game, right? It's not even just about, hey, look, we've got that realm warp. It's about, hey, I push in mid. Shlatan can go for these early invades. He's already pushing the Olaf off his camps from literally minute 3. This is what they do so effectively with it, and why I didn't want to see that Twisted Fate locked in by Miniduke, because I don't blame Miniduke for his performance on this pick. He was not giving anything at all to succeed in this game, and that Twisted Fate was just going to get completely pushed aside by the composition that Misfits Premier came out with.
So what do we need going into game 4, looking at what Vodafone Giants can do or what they've shown in game 2? They lost everything they've shown in game 2, but what do you want to see in game 4, Trouble?
I think that a team that likes to play top lane weak side should most likely take blue. If they have the pick here, they should probably pick blue, grab maybe the Ryze for themselves, ban it out and pick the Twisted Fate when there's no other answer, grab the Silas again and play for him. It feels like Miniduke is the one that's majorly stepping up, especially in this series for Vodafone Giants. So give him everything you've got to carry you later on. When Attila comes online, you've got that team fighting coming together.
Backs against the wall for the last Spanish team in the Amazon European Masters. It's kind of now or never for them once again as they face the Misfits Premier, who is at match point. We'll see you after the break for match 4 and see if Vodafone Giants can bounce back.